In this video, we're going to look at matrix operations. Now, an operation, we're not going to cover all of them yet, but we're going to start off with just adding, subtracting, and a couple other simple ones. So the first thing is we need to note what I've done is given us two matrices to work from. I call them A and B. And so in your problems, they may look something like A plus B. And so your job is to recognize, oh, I'm dealing, there's A, there's B. Those are the things I'm adding. And if you need to, you could always rewrite them as the entire matrix, how it was written up above, with a plus symbol in between. And then the other matrix you're adding it to next to it. And the operation of adding is super simple. The idea is what we're doing is we're saying, because we talked about in the previous video, we talked about the meaning, and what we're doing is we're saying, like, this was our McDonald's franchise and the number of cups we need to order. And then again, it's the McDonald's franchise and the number of cups we're going to order. So we're going to do this, and we're going to add them. 1 plus 4 makes 5. So now we need to order 5 cups, five cases of cups. So you could think of it as maybe like this one is talking about franchise 1 and this is talking about franchise 2, and it's a grid of the different things we need to order. So maybe this is cups, and then the -4 is hamburger patties. So apparently we way over ordered both of them. And then the next one is, I don't know, plates. So the idea is if you had multiple restaurants, you may pass things back and forth between the two. So between my first franchise and my next franchise, in the row 1, column 2, I have a -4. Row 1, column 2, another -4. So if I'm adding those together, -4 plus -4 makes -8. So between the two franchises, I now have a total of -8. And that's it. So you just literally match up row 1, column 3 with row 1, column 3. That makes a +1. And so 9 plus 0 makes 9, and 5 plus 3 makes 8. That's all there is to adding. I'm not going to go through 100 of these. If you need more examples, please let me know. But usually students pretty much pick up on this pretty fast in the level of mathematics we're in. So similarly, adding was you match up corner to corner, row 1, element 1, 1, 1, element 1, 1, element 3, 2, element 3, 2, whatever it would be, you just add them. Subtracting, same thing. So I believe if I was smart, yes, I was, so I could cheat and go up here and not have to rewrite it all again. Whoops. Instead of adding, we are now going to subtract. Look at that. It's amazing how an eraser works. Okay, so now when I am subtracting matrices, it's the same process. 1 minus 4 is -3. That's it. So -4 minus a -4 makes 0. 3 minus a -2 is 5, so on and so forth. 2 minus 2 is 0, 9 minus 0 is 9, and 5 minus 3 is 2. That's it. That's all there is to adding and subtracting. I hope that makes sense. Scalar multiplication, just as simple. I've given an even harder equation because we're going to put it all together, but you can see the scalar multiplication. Notice this is not matrix multiplication. I'm not doing a matrix times a matrix. I'm just saying the number 3 times A. What would that mean? Well, let's write it up. This is going to be 3 times my matrix A plus my matrix B from above. What was matrix B? So this would be 4, -4, -2, 2, 0, 3. Okay. How do I do this? Well, just like an algebra, we have order of operations. So we start with multiplication first. Now, what a scalar multiple is it's actually the easiest kind of matrix multiplication. This 3 is just going to multiply into every element. And if you think of it like a scale model is, if I said it was 1/4 the size, well, then that means I took every single dimension of that car that I have a model of and made it 1/4 the size, made it smaller. Well, this scalar multiple is scaling the whole thing. It's just taking every value and multiplying it by 3. So therefore, instead of having 1, I have whoops, I have 1 times 3. Instead of negative 4, I have 3 times negative 4, and so on and so forth. Yep, that's right, 6, 9, 15. There we go. So now that I've done my multiplication, just like any other algebra problem, we've done the multiplication. Now we move on to adding and subtracting. How do I add my matrices? Well, like we did in the previous problems, I'm just going to add my 1, 1 elements. So 3 plus 4 makes 7. Now I'm going to add my 1, 2 elements, row 1, column 2. So negative 12 and negative 4 makes negative 16, and so on and so forth. So I hope this is making sense, because that's all there is to it. So I usually don't do too many examples of this because I feel like I don't want to bore you to sleep. Okay, the last piece here, the last operator I want to talk about right now is called transpose. Now, the horrible thing about transpose is we are going to learn it now, and then we're not going to use it until chapter 5. All right, well, so you're going to see it here, we're going to do it, but it's not going to make sense why we're doing it. There's no word problems that make you use it, anything of that nature. But here's how we do it. Let me switch colors. A transpose is a simple concept, and you can go out there and find the best YouTube videos ever. They make this concept seem so hard. It's absolutely hilarious, but it's a simple idea. Your rows become your columns, and you're done. And then, whoops, there's an N in columns. And then similarly, when you're doing that process, your columns will then become your rows. And it's not hard, just as long as you remember row 1 becomes column 1, row 2 becomes column 2. So the transpose, row 1 becomes column 1, row 2 becomes column 2, and we're done. There's our transpose. Now, you might say, Professor Dwork, I'm going to mess that up, because instead of remembering my rows become my columns, I might switch it up. I might do it backwards. Well, good news. If you do it backwards, my first column becomes my first row. My second column becomes my second row, and you're probably chuckling at me right now. It doesn't matter. You can't switch it up. You can't mess it up. Just rows become columns, columns become rows. Just row 1, column 1, you're done. Okay, that is transpose. So I want to point out, this is a 200 level math class. What we're doing here, does it really feel like 200 level math? No, probably not. So what I want to point out is these are tools. It's your job. When you start going through the work, you're going to realize that you're going to have to put these tools together to answer questions. So be prepared for that. So write a summary, summarize what we learned in this section, and I'll see you in the next video.